What up? How's it going, people? Naturally, I'm bang on time as usual. You all love to see it. A Ghosty, Byron, Leaf, Talos, Dark Lord. End Times. How's it going, folks? How are we doing? I mean, Steve has his own little private hentai corner on Discord that is specially made for him, so I don't know, man. Oh, wait, I wasn't actually supposed to say that, was I? Sorry, Steve. At least no one can see your little private corner. It's all hidden. You should freak out. I've been here for the best part of 29 minutes. The PlayStation 6 is not going to be priced at $650. These people are crazy. I don't think they understand how the cost of RAM works. I don't think they understand what the cost of hardware means. Hey, Paul. What do you mean that's BS? What is BS? I don't understand. Oh, wait, this is really loud, isn't it? Let me cut the music down a little bit. Oh, I need to stop taking my medications on a Tuesday and move them to either a Monday or a Wednesday. Makes me very uncomfortable. These medications just do not sit well with me, but the side effects only last 24 hours. So maybe I'll start taking them on Monday or Wednesday instead. I know, right, Ghosty? I mean, Nibs earlier, just a minute ago, I saw a post of his saying how the PS6 is going to be more powerful than the Project Helix. And so if it's going to be more powerful than Project Helix, it's going to be cheaper. Make that make sense. Next, people are going to start telling me they can, start picking up, the 5090 or the 5080 for like $400. In which case I say, take me to your leader. I am interested. I saw I think it was Push Station or something like that. They referred to a well-informed insider, and then they named Nib, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Hey, Arthur. Hey, John. John, that would come at the sacrifice of day-and-date games, most likely. So I think Microsoft's right now are weighing the options of which one is more valuable to the Xbox consumer. Day-and-date Game Pass or exclusivity. I think that's definitely a discussion that's happening. Hey, brothers, how's it going? And folks, don't forget to hit that like button. And, maybe even share the stream. Get more people in. Have a more fun conversation. Hopefully we don't get weirdos coming in. Wait, too late. Steve's already here. So the weirdo part's already out. They are crazy. I can already see Gang of Dragon becoming a Sony exclusive. I'm not so sure, Richie. Though I do hope someone saves that project. Anyone. I mean, even if it does come at the cost of it turning into an exclusive, I just feel like it could be a really good game, and I think someone should just help revive it. Man, I've spent most of today trying to make my computer and console area puppy free, puppy resistant, I should say. She just tries to squeeze into the tightest places to get through. It's like cables are a magnet to them. Cables and my slippers. It's like it's a magnet to her. She will home in on it like a beacon. It's like a tracking rocket. She goes straight for it. Yeah. Oh, cool. All right, cool. Thank you. My lens should be arriving tomorrow as well. Huh? What? Yes. Yeah. And where's Braintree? Braintree Road or something like that. Isn't that where the chemist is? Well, that's where my prescription lens are. So they'll be here tomorrow as well. Anyway. Hey, Rabbi. How you doing? Braintree's in Essex. Okay, never mind. It's in Essex, where they have a lot of wet wipes. They have very much need for those. Was the only interesting thing at the game of the year? I'm not sure. There was talk about, potentially Near Automata 2. So there's always hope of some stuff. Hey, Bold Alpha Wolf. We're just getting started. I started a little late today because my medication is not sitting well with me, so I was just having a conversation before we started with the missus so I can change when I take my meds because it's once a week, but it really messes me up. Put decoy cables. She doesn't go for them. She doesn't. She knows which ones I actually want, and so she'll go for those. I don't know what it is. Maybe she just doesn't like me. Hey, what's up, Sanchez? Rabbi, got a bit of a stomachache, but I'm good. How about you? What I thought was interesting, there was a trailer on the Xbox YouTube channel of a multi-platform Sword Art Online game. Only showed a Series S XS logo when they usually show all platforms. Is that correct? Let me have a look. Because if that's true, then I've not noticed that. That's actually quite interesting if that is the case. I mean, it could be the fact that Microsoft is, can only control their first party, but even the third party games kind of all show. So that would be a really big change in what they're doing. Let's see. Fortuna Magnus. This looks interesting. Uh, let's see. Where is the Sword Art Online? There it is. I know you can't see it. I'm just going to the end. I'm not really watching it. I just want to see if that is the case. It is. That is actually the case. That's actually interesting. So, if we look at it here, that's... You can see only Xbox Series S and X. That's actually interesting. They don't normally do that. Good, let her have them. Stop being mean. Hey, look, I'm trying to protect her, right? I don't want her chomping on a cable and then frying herself. She's way too cute for that. At least you stopped nibbling on my toes. And we're finally getting her used to a few more commands now. She's starting to listen with the training, so that's good. I still can't get her to go flat down, but she sits. I think she's about 70-80% through training for the heel. She kind of understands that now. Stop, she understands as well, like 70% of the time when she's not hyperactive. But to go flat down, I can't. She still doesn't do that. Or when we tell her to give paw, she gives both paws, which is weird. I'm trying to get her to give one paw. So, we're getting there. It's our first pup. There'll be some bumps along the road, but we're getting there. Apparently, Fallout 3 Remaster toys have been listed at stores. Oh, interesting. But yeah, you can see that Microsoft is only now labeling their own. Normally, you'd see everything labeled here, regardless of the game, be it first party or not. That's actually interesting. What is the case? I don't know what you're talking about, Leaf. Gang of Dragon, can Microsoft see it? I mean, that's what we were talking about, Rabbi. Someone needs to save it, I think. No, you're not. You just don't want to buy more cables. Hey, look! Look! I bought more cables, okay? I bought more cables. I might actually give her one of these to chew. I got her some tug toys. Man, when she starts biting on that rope or anything and starts tugging, mate, her eyes open up so wide it's like she's on LSD or some shit. It's crazy. She like enters a whole new trance. I'm like, God damn. Man, she's awesome. The game they're like a Microsoft game. Like I said, Rabbi, Microsoft can, whether they will or not, is unknown. Hi, Tracy. Don't encourage the behavior. Wait, what behavior? What am I doing now? Mean owner. I'll have you know, I'm doing my very best to not be a mean owner. I feel like I'm doing a good job. At least I hope I am. That's cool, Chaos. It will take a little more time. Yeah, I'm dude, honestly, she's like a bundle of joy. But what we've got to do now, like we've got a fireplace and there's like fake coal there. It's all like decorationary. She figured out that she can jump up there, and now she kind of goes in, grabs a fake coal, and runs off. So we've had to board that bit up with barriers. Like literally everywhere is like puppy proof right now. It's insane because she can actually climb out of her cage now. She's figured out how to do it and gained the confidence. So she climbs up to the top of her cage. She hasn't fully gained the confidence to jump out of the cage, although she's done it once. I think it was an accident. She just sits on top of the cage now. But it won't be long before she decides to spider web herself out of there. Then you'd. I'll tell you what, since you don't like that 5090, Steve, and you really despise it, why don't you send one over and I'll let her chew on that? Hey, Paul, happy early birthday, my dude. Microsoft doesn't need to buy the studio, Rabbi. They just need to fund it. I think the buying of studios just needs to stop. The cage has a roof. She climbs on the roof from the outside. You did. I'm telling him to give me another one. Fine, send whatever you got then. 4090, 6000. You know, I ain't picky. Luna won't be picky either. Do you know what, Leaf? I think you might be right. I think you might be right. But folks, shit. I hit the wrong button. Not good. Let's bring this back up. So let's start off with some news because this is pretty cool, right? You got Steve's BFF Jensen Huang who says supply scarcity is fantastic for the company. The fact that everything is scarce is fantastic for us. Like, how can the balls on this guy? You have to have like a hell of a lot of kahunas to come out with a statement like that. Come on. It's like, hey guys, the fact that we're artificially upping the price of stuff because we're controlling it is definitely great for the company. Oh man. Can Microsoft next gen? I don't understand what that means, Ravi. Can't wait for the AI bubble to burst. Then we can watch Jensen crying when Nvidia loses. Dude, if the AI bubble bursts with the way they're investing into AI, they'll go bankrupt. They will lose everything overnight. Hey, look, I get some people worship Big Corpo, but this is what happens when you worship Big Corpo. You get people like this coming out and saying, "Hey guys, we're flogging you for everything you're worth, and you know it's great for the business." Can Microsoft release the next Xbox is going to have Windows on there in some way or another, Rebby. It's going to happen. It's already happening, and it's not changing. But yeah, I thought this was funny. I thought this was a pretty interesting take to have in this day and age. Leave your friend Nvidia alone. I mean, that's a pretty hot take. That's a pretty hot take. Xbox already has Windows on there. I mean, it has a Windows kernel. It's. I mean, it's got the bones of Windows. Yeah. Well, the whole purpose of Project HELIX is that they're finally combining what they wanted to do 20 years ago. I think it was Halo Wars that came out around 20 years ago, where they released it on Xbox and PC, and their vision was to, create a unified platform. Obviously, the technology back then just wasn't ready, it wasn't there. And then in 2016, when they finally managed it to get technology somewhat moving, they kind of doubled down on it in 2016. And then in 2026, Project Helix finally gets to take off. It almost sounds like the whole Starfield approach, right? Where Todd Howard had this vision for a game 25 years ago, but it was only really possible to make it now. That game was Starfield. Project Helix, it looks like if you go back and start really looking at what Microsoft has been doing over the years, over the past 2 decades, it's kind of all come to this point. This is what they've always wanted. Uh, yes, Xbox uses Windows. PlayStation uses Linux, Unix. It's more Unix, but Unix is like a branch of Linux anyway, so that's true. If they called it Project Skibidi, then I probably wouldn't buy it. And they knew that. And so because of that, they called it something more sensible. They are making a new console, Rebby. It's called Helix. Can you imagine how much better Helix would be using Nvidia? Well, Nvidia really hasn't done much in the kind of on-board side of things. So it's more an Nvidia issue. We wouldn't have half-trace games running at 20 FPS. uh, uh. I'm gonna be honest, Vital. I'm not a Linux user. My exposure to Linux is literally the Steam Deck. I stay as far away from Linux as I can. I only know what I'm reading, and that's not much. Am I planning to play Crimson Desert? I'm not sure. It doesn't look like a game that's going to interest me. Oh, damn. When Nvidia burns, we all win. Oof. Let's have fighting talks. We are getting a new brother for Boris. Need name ideas. Shilob. Shilob. Reforged lost his crap over Crimson Desert. Why? Is GeForce now available on mobile? So do we need a PC or Steam machine? And well, that's the thing, Navy. GeForce now is pretty much available on everything. On your TV, on your tablet, on your phone, everywhere. So, do you really need it? Not really. The only problem with GeForce Now is that it doesn't have, it doesn't support every game. Publishers still need to give access, and they don't. Like the other day, well, not the other day, some time ago, I was playing Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 4, and they just weren't supported on the platform, if I'm not mistaken. So, didn't work. Raichi, the native app would be awesome. I don't understand why they don't do it. Essentially, Sanchez, yes. Yeah, Paul, why don't you call it Starmer? Maybe you can. Because Boosteroid is essentially just a virtual machine, right? You log into a virtual machine, you can do what you want. It's different to GeForce now. What Boosteroid is doing is what Shadow did back in the day, if people remember Shadow. And that was literally just you portal into a PC and do what you want. So that's literally what Boosteroid is. So Cyberpunk has come to Game Pass. Premium and Ultimate, Series S and X, and Xbox One. So if you have been on the fence and haven't played it yet, or, you know, the game looked kind of cool at the time and you wanted to play it, but it was so broken, you didn't want to really waste any of your time. And then as time went on, you kind of said to yourself, wait a minute, I'm not playing this anymore because it's past its sell by date, and then you kind of forgot that the game existed. Well, now you can play it. It's on Game Pass, and yeah, go to town. As a neutral, I think Helix is gonna flop even harder than the Series X. It's gonna be expensive. I heard it's gonna be around $6,000. Well, Ahmed, whoever told you it's going to be $6,000, go and tell them that they're a retard, and then move on with your life. But make sure you emphasize the point that they're a retard. Because if it's not emphasized that they are, you know, profoundly a retard, then it actually won't get through. So you might need to spell it out to them as well. But once you have spelt that out to them, that they are a bona fide retard, then you should be okay and you can get on with your life. You found Cyberpunk kind of boring? What do you mean? You could do that quite well. I mean, you can build a 5090 PC today and it doesn't cost you $6,000. Jesus Christ, people. I don't want to actually say horrible things, but when people come out with horrible, with like literally dumb statements like that, you gotta turn around and tell them the truth, man. And Ahmed, since people are telling you that, you need to be the one, the bearer of bad news. I do it on a regular basis, probably too much. By the way, True Achievements Marathon debuted at 32nd on the week's top played games, sandwiched between Fallout 4 and Solitaire. Oof. I don't know why people aren't giving Marathon a chance. It actually is a fun game. Apparently, it's going to have 32 gigs of RAM, Steve, so we already know it's going to be, you know, super expensive. Ahmed, that doesn't make any sense. My £200 Chromebook has Steam. Nothing you're saying is making any sense, man. Pistol being disabled in Resident Evil. Oh, mate, they're doing all sorts of shenanigans for that one. Oh, it's a bug and this and that. Mate, uh, we don't know the actual specs. We don't know how they're going to be utilized. Nothing is set in stone. I mean, if you look at what Nibs is saying, it's going to, the PS6 when it comes out is going to be more powerful than the Xbox HELIX, people are thinking it's going to be $500. So you're saying it's going to be more powerful and cost like a fraction of the price? I think people just need to chill and not worry about things that have no interest to them. I think it'll be around £800 to £1,000 here in the UK. That's what I'm thinking. I will say this: I played the Server Slam, and then I now have played the retail version of the game. Thank you, Sony, for the code. And it's improved in terms of just performance, polish. Everything just runs a little better, feels a little better. The menus look, they've added a few things to the menus which make it more digestible. So overall, it's kind of had a little makeover since the demo. So it's better than what it was. There is that. Sony are looking at ways to make it so you don't ever download your games again to your hard drive. Only a portion of it. The rest is streamed through the internet. So that is part of their patent, right? But before we talk about HELIX and stuff, because there's quite a lot going on, and if you've been following my videos, there's been a lot of discussion. Nvidia had their showcase today, GDC today, and it seems their DLSS 4.5 with 6 times frame generation, which some people absolutely love and are going to switch on immediately, is rolling out on March 31st. Nvidia will also release dynamic frame generation for RTX 50 series GPUs at the same time. Sadly, I've got a 30 series GPU, so I'm not going to be getting any of this. But hey, at least GeForce Now will, so I kind of do get it. It's a little different, Vital, because the way they're doing it, you still need to have the disc or something in order to actually do it. Where those are doing the whole game, you can do the whole game through the cloud. This kind of needs to install a little portion on your drive, I believe. I just picked up the first thing that I saw. Like I told you, I've not been very well today. Like, really, really not well. Hey, CBH. Did you hear the studio that came out with Until Dawn is now shut down? I did, and I actually did a little bit more reading into that studio, which is a shame that they've shut down. But apparently, after the game launched, they got rid of 99% of their staff anyway. So they basically were just running a shell company for the best part of a year. And they've decided to just close shop. So they were already effectively closed from last year. They just basically had the shell open, and I guess they were hoping for refunding of a project or something. It didn't really happen, so they just decided to call it a day and move on. I don't. The missus puts heating. It's really weird because I don't need any heating. Being diabetic, it's one of the perks. I'm always like central heated. So I've pretty much always got the garden door open for me personally. So no, I don't ever need it. I have to keep it closed now because of the pup. We don't want her running outside. But yeah, she kind of just stays around there and does her own thing. Leaf, yes, Steve loves frame gen. Higher the better. Should have seen it when he was playing Resident Evil. He had DLSS at performance, frame gen set to 4 times. It was crazy. Yeah, it does, right? But this is the very first prototype of the OG Xbox. I'm curious, where does the disc go in? Where did it? I get this is the first prototype, right? And I get this is what they originally designed to be the console that would be in our homes. And don't get me wrong, it actually looks really cool. What I want to know is how does it work? That looks like the most dysfunctional thing that you could ever create. I get they really were down on the whole DirectX being part of the core naming brand, and they kind of really wanted to emphasize the X in DirectX. But where does the CD go? Yeah, CSM, Steve, he's not neutral. He's obviously not neutral. That Sony is thinking about shutting down the studio. I didn't hear anything like that, Byron. Although I wouldn't put it past Sony, but Astrobot did relatively well in terms of making a profit. It didn't sell as much as I personally thought it should sell because it was a great game. Um, but it made a profit, and at the end of the day, that's what's important. The disc spins on the outside. Oh no, man, that just looks weird. Until Dawn wasn't a Sony studio; it's a third-party studio. It was an outsourced studio. They don't really have anything to do with Sony. They just picked up the project, and I guess they didn't really do a good job because the game on the PS5 ran like crap. They optimized it for the Pro, and that's a dumb thing to do. I mean, Sanchez, you'll know if those rumors are true in 2027. Right now, there's no more games that Sony can actually port. Whether Yote was actually in development, it was already started or not, you've only got people's hearsays to go by. That is, it's unknown. But going by their track record, which is like a year and a half, you would have to wait until the end of 2026, maybe even the end of 2027, before you see the next PlayStation first party game. So, with that in mind, I get people are celebrating that it's not happening, but there's no games to actually port for that to happen. I can't remember when Yote was actually released. Yote release date. Okay, so it's October 2nd October 2025. Given their 1.5 year around timeline, so you're looking 2026 October, so 2027, right? Like I said, by the end of 2027, if a game hasn't been released, then you know that they've pulled out of the market. But they really have until the end of 2027 for that rumor to be true. So I wouldn't pay any attention to it just based on pure timelines. Everything they've got so far has gone outside of Demon Souls, Gran Turismo, and Astrobot. That's it. I mean, saying Wolverine is only available on PS5, well, yeah, until another year and a half to 2 years, and then, by 2028, we'll see it on PC at some point. So, it's just rubbish rumors. Yeah, Yote would be 2027. So, all this about, oh, Yote was almost done. So, what? Are you telling me Sony went from 1.5 year releases down to 5 months? That's the play now. That's what they want me to believe. They're just literally making shit up for stories, and that's it. And people are falling for it. It is what it is. I ain't buying it. Now, end of 2027, we don't see a game, then I'll say, right, Schreier was right. I'll eat those words. But until then, it's game on as usual. Who's talking about Xbox? You see? You see, chat? I got him. I exposed the pony. He says he's neutral, but there you go. Exposed. Fully exposed. Nexus is also a support studio. They've been kind of. Nexus, in the meantime, has been kind of doing bits and bobs. To port a game, it takes like 3-4 months. So it doesn't take long to port a game from where it is to PC. So when you're looking at it in that regard, they probably are, they are supporting other studios right now. What happened to the Marvel games needing to sell 12 million or more to keep license? Spider-Man probably did that, right? I mean, I would assume so. They did that by now. I think they needed around 11, 12 million to break even on average between all formats of selling. Marvel's Disney. Do I think Xbox is going to go back to exclusives? I honestly don't know. I don't think they'll go back to full exclusives personally. If they do any exclusives, it won't be true exclusive. It's going to include PC. That's, a given because of the symbiotic relationship with PC. And I think it'll just be the tentpole titles if they do that. Wolverine needs to sell six. I think Wolverine's going to sell like hotcakes. It's a pop. It's one of the most popular, beloved characters in the Marvel universe. So it's I've got no doubt in my mind it's going to sell. Hey man, as long as I could expose him, tell us, I'm happy. Blade will probably not be exclusive. The contract on that will probably. I mean, if I was Microsoft, I wouldn't make Blade exclusive. I would try to get that contract done as soon as possible. Hey, Kage. Did you know the hypes thing releasing in 2000 was Pokemon Winds and Waves Chaos? Mate, I haven't even heard of that game. How can it be hype if I've not heard of it? You see? It's not hype. No, Vince, that's partially correct. It needed to sell 7.2 million copies that were digital only, where Sony gets 100% of the proceeds, right? Uh, and even then, with digital, Marvel were taking a huge portion of that. But once you start mixing in uh, bundled copies, which Marvel took 50% of the revenue, and you start including shop prices, where between the shop and Marvel, they were taking 40-50% as well. They needed to pretty much sell, with a combination of everything, around 11-12 million in order to properly break even. I can't remember the exact maths, but it was somewhere around there. I mean, with HELIX, they're going to have Spider Man, Blade, and eventually Wolverine. So it works out the same in the end. I think the last Spawn game I played was on the Dreamcast. That was interesting. Hey, look, Steve, I'm neutral, right? I'm pro Stadia. We all like Google Stadia, right? A great platform. And the Oya was amazing as well. Don't forget about Oya or the Soldier Boy. Now those platforms are the jam. Did you know on Google Stadia right now you can play Spider-Man 4? I don't know what you're talking about. Crimson Desert hardware specs have been released for PC, PS5, Series S and X. Even the ROG Ally, which I found interesting that they're now doing ROG Xbox Ally specific uh, stuff. This is big. A lot of people kind of gloss over the significance of this, but this is the type of thing Microsoft really want to be pushing with their handheld because it sets the baseline of their platform being what the game should be built for. And clearly, when this was being done for handheld gaming, the Steam Deck was not the preferred platform. You've got other more powerful platforms, but the ROG Xbox Ally X was and the ROG Xbox Ally were the preferred base platform. As you can see, though, the difference in magnitude between the two on performance mode, 720p, which is fine for a screen of that size. You get 40 FPS, which is why I just don't think the white ROG Xbox Ally is worth it. With the Ally X, you can get 60 FPS, which is cool, and that's what you want. 40 FPS with balanced, so a bit of trade off, but still better than performance. And obviously, at quality, if you want to play it at 30 FPS, you have that option. I think that's pretty cool. That's Mac. No one cares about Mac. Like literally, no one cares about Mac. You got PC specifications. They go all the way back to an 5500 XT and a 1060 Nvidia. Jesus, wow. And then all the way up to RTX 5070 Ti for Ultra for 4K 60 FPS, no upscaling. On a bright note, GeForce Now has a 5080, so that can run this perfectly fine at the max settings. Woot woot! So if I do choose to play it, it'll probably be there. You got the low end recommended, and then you got the console specs. So the Series S comes in at 720 and 1080 with 40 and 30 FPS, ray tracing off. Series X has 1080p, 1280p, and 1440p, depending on the scale. Balanced and quality are upscaled to 4K. But if you want 60 FPS, you go down the performance. I'm pretty sure with 40 FPS here, you can, with VRR, you can go to 120, so that's cool with low ray tracing. But on quality mode, you're stuck at 30, which is the same as a PlayStation 5, with the exception that, you know, VRR here just, you know, isn't going to really work. So, because you need 48. So, with that said, the Pro obviously is leading the pack, where at quality it can run at 4K native, it seems, though at 30 FPS. Ew. Absolutely ew. But hey, you get ray tracing Ultra though. Just no path tracing. I wonder if this supports path tracing. But man, 150 gigabytes of SSD required. Sheesh. Mate, is he still going? Where is the Switch 1 version? Hey, look, man. Forget the Switch 1. It's all about the Switch 2 and its amazing performance. As we all know, the Switch 2 is better than the PS5, right? Game on, Jesse? I don't know, actually. I honestly don't know. Game, I mean, it's smaller than COD, right? So that's something. Switch 2 doesn't allow mediocre games because we are playing Pocopia. I was about to say, how can you not allow mediocre games when you've got all forms of Pokemon on there, which are below mediocre? They're just trash tier games, right? I mean, Bullets agrees with me, so that's all that matters. Bullets 100% agrees with me. Bankhouse for that take. Why? It's the truth. See, Ghosty gets it. Hey, wait, Ghosty, isn't Galatasaray playing Liverpool today? Ahmed, it could be. It might not be. I mean, I've not followed it at all because I don't really. I don't get lost in those worlds like other people do. I don't. It's too open world for me. It kicked off at 5:45 p.m. So the game's finished. Liverpool lost. Ah ha ha! Go Jim Bomb! Let's go. They're not my preferred Turkish team, mind you. I support Fenerbahce, but do you know what? In the Champions League, I support all Turkish teams. So Galatasaray, Jim Bom Bom, let's go. That's what I like to see. Sorry, man. It had to be done. It had to be said. How did United get? We won clearly. You know. Anime. I support Man United in English team, and in Turkish I support Fenerbahce. We already won the Champions League. You guys are playing whatever is the remnants of whatever there is. You guys are in this like fake Champions League stuff. We already won the Champions League. That's already been done and dusted. So we're giving other teams a chance to actually win, because if we consistently win everything, you know the sport gets boring. So we have to give a little bit of a chance for other teams to actually gain some glory. And so that's where we come in. We're the bastions of support, and helping other teams feel like they deserve something. But yeah, I mean, everyone knows I don't like open world games, which is why games like Assassin's Creed just don't appeal to me. Thanks to us, Paul. But apparently, Project Helix is going to have 32 gigabytes of RAM. Last I checked, 32 gigabytes of RAM in the US was about $1,000. So, cha-ching! Apparently, the leak claims that Windows mode would provide 24 gigabytes of usable RAM, while the remaining 8 gig would be reserved for the operating system and other system functions. It also suggests that online multiplayer could work differently depending on the mode, with subscriptions potentially required in game mode. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I don't see it. I see them dropping Xbox Live entirely. Although for the Series X they'll need it, but for anything that's uh not Series X, there's no reason to have paid online. Of course, this leak comes from 4chan, so it's probably bollocks. That actually has happened already, Steve. They broke into a high tech department in Korea, and they stole all the DDR5 RAM. They left the PC, the graphics cards, and everything. Back then graphics cards weren't being hit yet at the time, and they ran off with just the RAM sticks. People have already beaten you to it, man. It's already done. Spurs are losing 5-1. Man, they are not having a good time. How did Man United do against Grimsby Town FC? Hey, we beat them in the end, right? That's all that matters. I would take everything. In that situation, you got to be in and out in like 2 minutes, because the alarm's going to be triggered, right? So you've got a set time, and you need to know where everything is. So it's definitely an inside job. But it'll be interesting to see, what the Helix looks like. I'm actually interested to see what Helix looks like. We've got the GDC tomorrow, I believe it is. Is it tomorrow for Xbox? I think it is. So we should be getting a lot more info on the GDC tomorrow and where Xbox is heading. Is it going to be live? Does anyone know? Yeah, Steve. That's what they would all like. No, no, you don't suggest that. That's just wrong. Man, you are such an Nvidia fanboy. You say people shouldn't shill over corpos, but literally, you're the biggest shield for Nvidia I know. Do as I say and not as I do. uh, that's not the point. The reality is the way you go about them is full on shill mode, man. And I think the console wars are dead. The younger generation don't care about it, and the older generation is kind of grown out of it. I know there's a subsection that kind of cares about what happens, and you shill for your friends, right? See, it all works out in the end. But yeah, I think a subsection probably still does care. I personally don't anymore. Haven't for a while. Don't get me wrong, there are certain things that I still would like to see, but it's not console warring in that sense. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think Microsoft are just doing their own thing and trying to provide a better deal and a better service, better options. Nintendo are doing their own thing. None of them really are doing the same anymore. They've all kind of gone their own path. I know a lot of people want to see the HELIX fail, but even that I don't understand why. It's almost like it's pre-programmed into people's DNA. It's like, I hate this, and he's like, why do you hate it? I don't know, but I'm told I should hate it, so I'm gonna hate it, kind of thing. The younger me, sure, but the me today, I just don't care. I think console wars mattered way more when people couldn't afford more than one platform. When you've got a Series X, a gaming PC, a Switch 2, and a PS5 Pro, along with a Series S and a base PS5, it doesn't matter. The console wars literally doesn't matter. There isn't anything out there that you can't play. So, yeah, to me, the console wars doesn't matter. It's dead. It's gone. It's over. Oh, the amount of hate for Xbox when HELIX got announced was crazy. The hate got even worse when talks of exclusivity came along. And should I tell you why the hate for Xbox HELIX really got bad when the notions of exclusives came along and people started going mental over it? Outside of the flip flopping, of course, because, you know, I'm just going to put it out there. Exclusives are antiquated, anti consumer. They're not pro consumer. They don't do anything. Why do you care if someone else plays the game? And then Xbox might be doing exclusives. I am all for exclusives. Let's fucking go. Yeah, that level of flip flopping is just retarded. But hey, we are seeing it live in 4K right now. But the point I'm making is if the exclusives happen, they're going to, you know, it, you know, I think Sony fans now are really kind of worried that if Microsoft decides to go down that route, they're going to lose all ZeniMax games, they're going to lose all Activision games with the exclusion of COD, all Bethesda games, and a host, almost everything that's in the Microsoft studios. Don't forget, Microsoft owns like 30, 40 studios now. They own a huge portion of the market. So if Microsoft really wanted to go down that route, they could starve Sony quite easily. And I think that's what's scaring PlayStation fans more than anything else. I think that's ultimately it, and that's why they want Helix to fail, so that reality doesn't materialize. I'm not saying it should, by the way. I'm just saying that that's the only logical reason I can find why these people want Helix to fail so much. Because if Microsoft decide to go down that route, and we've already seen them completely and utterly pivot away from this is an Xbox. In fact, they've pretty much quietly, completely abandoned that campaign and have changed and pivoted direction. So clearly, change is afoot. But if they decide to go down that route where PC and Xbox now become this synonymous entity where games only release on those platforms, well, that means Sony are about to lose a third of all the games that are going to them. And that, for PlayStation fans, is scary. Right? Microsoft at that point could then go and decide to money hat a bunch of other games, because let's face it, they've got way more money than Sony, as long as their investors allow for it, with being a loss leader for the short term and being, a giant in the field in the long term, then they can completely dominate if they really wanted to. And I think that's what most of these people are scared of. But to me, competition is good. Competition is good. Damn, Steve, that is good. What game is that? That is really good, man. Someone told me to check Discord. Less than 1 million Project Helix units will be made available in select regions at launch. That kind of makes sense. Supply is going to be low as usual. Also rumored to be available on first come first served basis via pre-orders direct from Xbox initially to stop scalpers. Again, that kind of makes sense. I like what Nintendo does, where you have to be a member of their subscription service for a year before you can actually go in and buy stuff. So I think there's some truth to. I think you're not going to be seeing 10 million consoles day one available. But what this FGUK is trying to say is that they're going to limit supply and dock to the hype. I don't think that's going to happen. We do have RAM shortage. It's a reality. 2027 is the rumored date. And it bothers you, doesn't it, Steve? It really bothers you. I know it does. That tiny little thing, it bothers the crap out of you. Like, inside my PC right now, I've got like all the cabling sorted, and it looks quite nice, but there's just two cables that are really bothering me because I know I can fit them behind the board, filter through the gap, and it will look nicer. But that would mean I have to unscrew the motherboard, and I can't be bothered. So every time I look at it now, it pisses me off. And I get it. The OCD is real. Microsoft should just buy Ubisoft and just throw the Assassin's Creed IP. I don't think they can. Doesn't Tencent own 49%? Tencent owns 49% with an additional, I think, 3%, but that doesn't come into effect until 2028 or 29. and they can't, or is it 2030, something like that. So Tencent technically by 2030, if they don't do anything, will own over 50% of Ubisoft. And that's why Ubisoft is trying to make their life a living hell, trying to devalue the shares and do everything so Tencent can sell. The problem is Tencent can't really, they can agree to a sale now, but the sale will go through in 2027 because that's the earliest they can sell, I believe. So they're trying to basically make the market conditions really horrible for Tencent so they can sell some of their shares. In my opinion, that's what this is all about with Ubisoft anyway, where they've deliberately crashed the share price. They're just trying to make it unattractive for Tencent. Yeah, as long as you start putting money aside from now, you'll have no problem. Scrapping Assassin's Creed, mate, don't say that. Banish is going to have the Templars around your place. You thought Nintendo fans were weird and freaky. Wait until you see the Ubisoft CEO coming up to your door with the rest of the Templars. I mean, Diablo, that's been the end game all along. I mean, I've said this multiple times. This is why I've been saying, like, the whole situation with Ubisoft, it's all manufactured. They're not actually doing, they're not going through this whole turmoil. You know, what company in their right mind is going to deliberately do stuff that is going to hurt the overall business? The shareholders at some point would intervene, but there's been no intervention. This whole thing is just to get Tencent out of their, get their mitts out of that 50% plus. And who knows, it might work. I mean, they can make anything as long as there's demand. I'll send. Oh my god, you got another Ubisoft fan in chat. No, not another one. I will say this though, Silver. No, no, no. Tracy, you are a bad person. That's all I'm gonna say. You are a bad, bad person, Tracy. But Silver, what I am going to say is that was pretty mean what you said to me on social media. Writing that on the wall and sending it to me to finish games that I start, that was pretty mean. I finish games. Maybe not within the first 12 months, but I do finish them. Some games do go for like 36 to 48 months, but hey, the point is I finished them. Like God of War Ragnarok. You know, I think I'm about 60, 70% there. I am going to finish it one day. The game came out like last year, right? Right, chat? Right? Ragnarok came out last year. So I'm definitely, it's still within the window to complete it. So I've seen this being posted around. I don't really understand why someone would go out their way to make this infographic, but apparently forward compatibility visualization, and remember this is already hinted at FTC leak. Like, I think people just need to stop doing stuff like this. Right? I get it's cool to evangelize and gloss and shill and everything, but at some point you kind of just need to take a step back and wait until we know what the hell things are. Right now, all of this that people are doing, I think it's a little much. She may laugh now, but I will have the final laugh. Uh, Illuminati. Uh, for me, it's more the case of I'm playing something, and then I see the next shiny. I'm like, ooh, shiny. And then while I'm playing that, I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. Ooh, shiny. I'm almost like Dory from Finding Nemo. I just go after the next shiny over and over again. We know it's having an NPU. Jason Ronald already mentioned it ages ago. Yeah, we know that. But in what capacity is it all going to work? I don't know. Will you buy Xbox Helix if it's 2,000? Probably not. I think 2,000 is too much. I think at that point I'll reconsider. 2,000 is too much. Now I think 800 to 1,000 is reasonable. If it has like a 5080 performance graphics card in there with path tracing and the works as good as a 5080 at 1,500, I think that's fair. That's a really good deal. But anything more than that is just too much. Yeah, they've been talking about it, Paul. I don't know what it's going to be, Kage. I'm just saying those. This is what people are. Rumors are flying everywhere. I'm just giving my version of what I'd be willing to pay on what spec. I mean, a 5080 right now is £1,200. Steve said he's gonna, PayPal me the money so I can get it as a sponsor to being such a great content creator. You know, it's what I do, right? So I appreciate the donation, but you know, I think you can get it for about 1,200 now. That's the cheapest I've seen him. Tides of Illumination. Ooh, it's Play Anywhere. Wait, it's available? There has to be just a placeholder, right? Wait, what do you mean my vibe changes often? What did I say now? And I got 32 gigs of RAM like 3 weeks ago for £220, which is still crazy money. I don't know how much it's worth now though. Tides of Annihilation doesn't have a release date, but is expected to launch in 2026. So it's just a placeholder. It's cool that it's Play Anywhere though. What's 1K in US in the UK? About £800. So the Xbox Rock LIX here is £800. In the US, it's 1,000. Diablo, it's not about the money at that point. It's more the upgradability of the device, because it's clearly not going to be upgradable, right? And if they're charging you 2,000 for a device that can't be upgraded, it just feels like you're throwing money away, even more than throwing away money when you're paying GeForce Now. At least with GeForce Now, you're going to get a superior graphical fidelity that upgrades every single year to the latest 80 series of the, you know, 80 variant of the latest graphics card. So, in that regard, the GeForce Now actually becomes way more valuable. Uh-oh. Silver messed up. Oh, side missions on Ghost of Yote for a damn weapon skin. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Don't you feel rewarded? Don't you? Just don't you? My vibe for what I want to play, I want to just play something that's linear, story driven, with a cool combat system, and that's it. I want to be driven down the director's vision for the story. I don't want it to be branched out so I can do everything and anything I want. That's not my idea of fun. My idea of fun is following a linear story driven uh, experience where I'm told a story that the director wants to tell me. That is what I have fun in games with. They did better in Yote, but now they makes you do a super long mission. Serves you right for what you said on social media. That's the movie. I mean, not really. Final Fantasy 13 was super linear. I really enjoyed that. That was a great game. Tariffs affect the country imposing them. That is correct. I did, and it wasn't very good. I got the Metro Trilogy DLC for $6. That's nice. That's a good deal. You know what I really, really want and care about the PS5? I can't play Assassin's Creed 1 on it. So you're really happy about that, I see, Banisher. What would you do if they make a Near Automata 2, but they make it open world with towers? No, don't. You know what? I'd play. I'd still be playing it. I'd still play it. I would. Look, there's just so much. You know, I get it. To be or not to be, I get it. But some things are just. Some things are just. You know, you can't deny certain things. All I'm saying, you can't deny certain things. Hey, this old nerd with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hey, good night, Paul. What was I trying to showcase just now before that happened? Look, Rachie, I'm just saying, when it comes to 2B, all bets are off. All bets are off. So, Shinzo, Paul, Sanchez, Techno, Garib all received the gifted sub. Thank you so much, dude. But what was I looking for? This is what I'm looking for. I think this is what I'm looking for. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to show you guys something. I thought it was really funny. Right? It was really funny. So, before we get on to more talk on HELIX, I thought this was hilarious. But check it out. Girls don't use their heads like men do. I don't know why that made me laugh so much. Yeah, I'm muting this bit because music, but this Elden Ring. I don't know why that made me laugh so much. Kills, you could put Helldivers 2 and some new game from Game Pass. Where, Byron? Two sides of aura farming. Is it Dark Souls? I don't know. I just found it funny with the head just going dong 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 all the way down. I thought it was funny. I tried to do Helldivers last time. No one really was interested in playing it. I think it was like one person. It didn't really work with Helldivers 2. I don't know why. It's a good game, but people just weren't interested. Windows Central says big shift in messaging at Xbox. Xbox is telling fans the future starts now. On top of that, in the GDC message, it's build for what's next, and hints at a bigger push towards next gen tools and strategy. Whatever Xbox is preparing to show, it wants players to know the next era is officially underway, and the old, this is an Xbox one, is ending. They're kind of done with this is an Xbox. What, with Helldivers 2? He doesn't even like Helldivers 2. But if people want to play Helldivers 2 on the next community night, we could do it. I've got no problem with that. I am not averse to it. But I made a video, I think, on this. I either released it yesterday or today. Can't really remember. Honestly, I've been releasing a lot of videos lately. Thank you so much for the, support with those new videos. It's been really awesome. See, he's ill that night. See, that's the night where he's planning on sending me either the 5090 or the 4090 or the 6000 graphics card straight to my door. And in return, I'm going to send him a bottle of Lambrini. Because I'm a good friend. Steve likes Lambrinis. Isn't that right, Steve? Funny. Let's go into the article and see. Oh God, no! It's gonna be white. It's gonna have to be. Look, I suffer, so you suffer. A weird thing just happened where your speech just went complete gibberish. Now, what I said, Steve, you know, I'll be generous, because obviously the Lambrini bottle is, it's really expensive and it is really lucrative, and really all three of those graphics cards would actually do. But I'll be the good guy here and exchange that one of a kind Lambrini bottle that I get from Iceland for $3.99 for the lowest spec graphics card, not the 6000, not the 5090, but sold for the 4090. And I said I don't want the 5090. I'm saying he can keep it. I mean, that's his love child, so obviously he doesn't want anyone touching that one. It is his favorite streamer. But yeah, I mean, you can see over here, Microsoft is basically saying whatever's happened in the past, this is our new structure now, and this is, a new beginning on where we want to take Xbox. And so the whole "this is an Xbox" campaign kind of went away. Now, I did like it. I did like this paragraph here. We have all seen and heard about the next Xbox marketing campaign. This is an Xbox. For many fans, myself included, it landed poorly. It made those who invested in Xbox hardware feel like second fiddle, and that is exactly how it came across. The messaging suggested that an Xbox console was no longer essential. I mean, they literally were screaming, "You don't need a console." In practice, the idea is not inherently bad. Expanding where people can play Xbox games makes sense, right? The problem was how it was communicated. Rather than presenting these devices as an extension of the console experience, the campaign made some players feel like they might as well sell their console. It basically started making Xbox fans feel like second-rate customers, and no one wants to feel like that. Uh, and you can see here the whole Q&A, while it may sound like corporate speak, Nadella reiterated Microsoft will always invest in gaming, and that's cool, but what does that look like? And described Xbox as core to the company's identity. But again, what does that investment look like? And they kind of fell short of answering, those questions. Xbox's next generation console designed to play both Xbox and PC games, hence the whole HELIX, bringing the two together. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over at the GDC and what things are going to be unveiled. I don't expect there to be a lot unveiled, in all honesty, but I still think it's going to be interesting nonetheless. Wait, Byron, are you this old nerd? Imagine if Xbox Game Pass Ultimate included. See, that would actually benefit me, right? I would actually save like $10 a month. Ah, so you are Viper. Okay. I've not seen this account from you. Oh, wait, this is your new YouTube account, isn't it? Finally. You finally unveiled your YouTube account. Hey, if you want to see anything like 3D printing and stuff, I believe that's what Viper's going to be doing on his channel. Feel free to check him out. And look, we're all old nerds in one way or another. Grey beards and the works. It is great to have more ways to play your Xbox games. They failed because they totally neglect the feeling of Xbox console gamer. Vince, that's the problem, right? They have. But as I keep saying, and I know this upsets some people, if you go down the route of exclusivity, it didn't work in the past because not enough copies of the games are being sold, and you can clearly see that Xbox's CFO wants a 30% margin, which is in the public, the studio's own words. They feel like they have to release it on other platforms in order to, meet that margin. So you can't have it both way with Game Pass day and day and exclusives. It doesn't work. And I know people don't like that idea or that kind of conversation, but you know, the truth is the truth. You should fight Sig and Cyril. Fight? Why do I want to fight? I know there's probably something in there right now, but um. Oh, you're making videos. Nice. Each time Microsoft releases bad news, the Indiana Jones on PlayStation and Xbox ad happened. I saw the Facebook Marketplace getting more Xbox Series posts selling their consoles. I mean, the problem was the campaign for what they were doing was fine. It was the execution of that campaign that was bad. Look, I'll give you a prime example like the one I've used in my video, right? The PlayStation Portal, right? This device over here. Let me see if I can reach it. So this device here, right? PlayStation Portal. It is what it is. It came out as a remote play device. Right now, this is pretty much a PS5 on its own. You don't need a PS5 to play PS5 games. If you have one of these and access to the internet, as long as you've got a PlayStation Plus subscription, you can play PlayStation 5 games. You don't need a PS5. However, you don't see Sony going to the rooftops and screaming, "Hey everyone, don't buy our PS5, buy this instead," because you don't need a PS5. You don't see them doing that, and Microsoft did. And then when you've got the parent company turning around and saying, "Please don't buy our console. Go and buy a TV and play it on a TV instead. But don't buy our console, whatever you do." People are going to turn around and say, "Okay, we just won't buy your console then. If that's what you really want us to do, we'll do that." And then Microsoft was like, "Hey, you know what? Thanks for not buying our console." And then they're wondering why people weren't buying the console. So they kind of self-inflicted that, a lot of it. And it just continued. You do not need a PS5 to activate the portal, no. You can bypass it entirely and go straight through and play the cloud-based games. You don't need a PS5. Like, you literally, with this, do not need a PS5 at all to play PlayStation 5 games. But Sony isn't advertising that. They're using the portal as an extension of the PlayStation 5. And that's what Microsoft should have done. They should have said the console is the core experience, but we're providing these other avenues as an extension of ways to play the games. But the core experience that we're going to focus is this. Instead, they said, "This Xbox? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. This is our wide. What we want is you to be doing this." And they wanted to push Game Pass to 100, 200, 300 million subscribers, and it didn't work. I mean, the whole point was for them to, you know, increase the subscription of Game Pass. I mean, it is silver. A subscription means, steady income. It's money that's constantly coming in, that's predictable. So I get the business logic behind it, but it didn't work. So now they've kind of completely done away with the whole "this is an Xbox" slogan, because you can't see it anywhere. It's nowhere. The whole "this is an Xbox" campaign, there's not a single. I've seen people recording videos and I've looked for it. There isn't a single thing I've seen that references "this is an Xbox." It's gone. That campaign is gone and dead. And if they're getting rid of that campaign, it means they're changing the way that they do business. Now, what that looks like naturally is unknown. We'll find out sooner or later. But the fact is, things are changing over at Microsoft in the way they're doing business. I'm not saying this means that exclusives are coming our way. I'm just saying that things are changing. And we won't know what they are until they announce it, obviously. I wonder how good the portal is with Starlink. I've never used Starlink. That's more so fanboy rhetoric taking the narrative. The heart of the messaging was no matter where you are, we want these games to reach you. I get that, Bold Alpha Wolf, but the way they delivered that message was undermining the console at every step of the way. It wasn't so much the message that was the problem, it was the execution. Like I said, Sony are doing exactly the same thing, but their messaging is console first, extension second. Microsoft was so aggressive with their extension first and console third, and it showed. Everything is an Xbox was more of a Game Pass subs, I believe, but not sure if it was worth it since they raised the price to $30. That was too much for casuals. It's a lot. What is what's that, Bold Alpha? I might have missed some stuff. Honestly, I think Gears E Day will be exclusive. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Gears E Day is going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC. That's just my thought process. They haven't announced anything for it yet. So we'll see once they announce stuff. Whether it'll be a timed exclusive thing or something else is unknown. But I think it's going to be the tentpole titles going forward. If they do go down that route. I don't see them making everything exclusive. Because then they definitely would have to, do something with Game Pass. And I don't think they want to do that because they've got, 40 million subscribers. I don't think they want to harm that kind of cash cow that they've got right now. Xbox sharing the cloud was part of the FTC agreement. PlayStation was given that. I mean, when you say sharing the cloud, you mean with Ubisoft? And that was just so Microsoft wouldn't have control over it, right? I think they did, Woodpit. Ultimately, I think they did. I don't think they'll ever dry up. It's almost like that whole Netflix situation, right? Everyone was saying, "Oh, I'm unsubscribing from Netflix. Look, I've unsubscribed." And then as soon as they took that picture, quick, let's subscribe again. Quick, go back to contact customer support and tell them that it was a mistake. We didn't actually mean to clean it. Click on it. It was like we were just doing something for social media. that sort of thing. Chat, I'm just going to go grab some water. I'm going to be right back. And notice how I said water, very posh, not water, but water. Sorry, but I was trying to see if Luna wanted to come out with her. Well, she wanted me to pick her up, but she did not. She was undecided. Alright, where were we? Pronouncing words. The f- Are you drunk? Yes, butt crack. The neutral guy, he left. He left after no one was paying attention. Um, but yeah, this whole HELIX situation, it kind of started 20 years ago, right? In 2006, I think Halo Wars was the first game that had like PC and console interactivity, and it worked seamlessly, but they just didn't have the tech to kind of push it forward. Then I think it was Tom Warren in one of my videos that I put out this week. where was it this week or last week, where he found an article from 2016 where they were talking about Project Helix. It just wasn't capable of doing what it needed to do at the time. But it's, the foundations of Project Helix pretty much started in 2006. So many will argue that Microsoft were forced down this path, but ultimately, it seems like this was always where they wanted to end up. Whether it would have happened now or in 20 years' time is a different story. But this whole convergence of console and PC is where they wanted to be all along. I mean, it depends what uh, you're using, right? Happy Mario Day? Why is it Mario Day? Ultimately, I think Square One should be benefits the gamer. It's redundant if Xbox can sugarcoat market. What matters more is it's a good product. I mean, yes. Oh, March 10th. Okay. Okay. That's the first time I've actually heard it referred like that. It just depends how relevant you want the brand and the hardware to be, Baldalpha. If that's not important to Microsoft, then they should just not bother in the first place. Right? And be as consumer friendly as they can be with their games. Charge each game at $50. Drop down Game Pass to £15 a month, and go gung ho. Game Pass is a good service. Do you save money and time? This is why when I see the polls that are out there that say if you have to pick between Game Pass and exclusivity, what do you pick? I pick Game Pass all the time because that's what saves me money. Right? Look at Resident Evil 9. It was what, £70 on PlayStation, £70 on Xbox. I found it for £37 on Steam. So I bought it on Steam because my wallet dictates, you know, where I play my games. I'll go to where is the cheapest option. I have that luxury though, right? So I'm not. This isn't. Not everyone is going to be in that position where they can do that. But because I do have that luxury, I won't specifically go and buy a game on a specific platform just because it's on my preferred platform. At the end of the day, I'm saving like 50% at that point. Why am I going to go and spend above the odds? And for what? To me, it will always be where I find the cheapest, the cheapest option, and that is just that. End of story, right? There's just no two ways about it. I understand people wanting exclusives, and those are, I guess, the super diehard. And there is a thing to be said about exclusives, especially in terms of competition. Competition breeds creativity. It breeds innovation. Without competition, you lack innovation. People don't have to try. They don't have to try and win your money, which ultimately results in a worse product for you because when there's no competition, none of these companies have to try to win your money. They don't have to do something unique to gain your money, right? That's just how. Just look at the way everything evolves. Mobile phones, for example, they had to evolve. You had the smartphone released from iPhone. They took your money. You wouldn't have stayed with a BlackBerry or a Nokia Face Off. So innovation is key, and for innovation to be truly at its best, you need competition. As long as that competition can be there in whatever this new form of Xbox is going to be, and if they don't need to go down the exclusive route for it, I'm all for it. That is where you ultimately want to be, because when you have these companies vying for your time and money, they have to be at their best in order to get you to part with your money. But when they don't have to try, then they don't care, and you get a lot of the slop that you're getting today. But with me, I will always pick what's best for my wallet. At the end of the day, you know, we're not all made of money. Times are hard. I don't think we've really been out of a recession for the past 20 years at this point. That's how it's felt like. So, wherever I can save money, man, I'm saving it. Whether it's buying cheap Game Pass codes or whatever. You just go and find the best deal for you, and you make that work for you. I mean, what most of them are fearing, Bold, is that if Microsoft decides to go down the route of exclusivity, their preferred platform is going to lose like 50% of games on the market. That's what they're scared of. And we don't talk about that, Ghosty. I thought we already agreed with that. The same thing with the lawnmower. Just like we don't talk about the lawnmower and how that went missing, we don't talk about the PS5 that fell off the back of a lorry. The media say Xbox fanboys hate Asher. No, the parasocial relationship that some Xbox fans have with the CEO of Microsoft is almost stalker level creepy, right? I mean, these people are making banners, they're making artwork of her like she's some, Cleopatra or something. I think that level of, they're doing exactly what they did for Phil Spencer to now Asher. And the transition between Phil and forgetting about Phil entirely to Asher has been like almost instantaneous. I've seen the same memes that were made with like Phil Spencer holding the Xbox Series X as a rocket launcher from the, I think, Commando movie, and now they've just replaced Phil Spencer's face with Asher's face. I think that sort of a relationship is just a bit much. I think it's a bit weird. She hasn't done anything. She hasn't proven anything. People can say anything they want. Satya can say what he wants. Asha can say what she wants. What matters is action. I want to see tangible results. She turns around Xbox and makes it a viable console that's there to compete and is good for the gamer. Game Pass Day 1 exists and all this, but she still elevates the console platform to a position where people want to pick it up. That's action, right? People keep saying that you need exclusives in order to push the brand, yet Steam has survived perfectly fine without exclusives. Epic, on the other hand, who does have the exclusives, has been struggling considerably. So there's a thing to be said about exclusives. Unless you're pumping out 15, 20 exclusives a year, it's not really going to work. So, the exclusives aren't the be all and end all. But Asher needs to prove herself in my eyes before people can, throw the, raise her as high as they are, which is silly. Hey, Grey Manad. Rachel, I didn't see them say that, but I did see them say that about Sarah. I think it was Tim Dog that said it. It was either Tim or D, but I think it was Tim. That was pretty disgusting. I mean, they also have a lot of those questionable games as well, right? But when we're talking about exclusives, we're talking about the bit. I'm not referring to indies. I'm referring to more of the bigger titles. One every few years, more like one every like 20 years. I think they turned Game Pass into a bargain service. You get games later but cheaper. I mean, that's one approach, but I think people want their day and date. They've kind of become accustomed to it now, and I think removing day and date will do more harm to the service than not. So I don't know, it's tricky. But there are ways around it where they can make, the hardware be the central focus while maintaining the status quo. I think it's possible. But again, I want to see action rather than words. And I'm seeing a lot of people immediately falling head over heels just on words, and that shouldn't be it. The HIO is the real menace. Hey man. Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I'm not. Not on YouTube. I could get banned for it. So I'm not gonna do it. But if you know, you know. Well, Vince, that's always going to happen, unfortunately. Like right now, they want this Xbox Helix to die. It's not had any real information out for it. We're all kind of like guessing at what it is and what it will do. We're all making assumptions, but they want it to die because the notion that they might consider exclusives freaks them out. And they don't want that. They want all the games on PlayStation. Hell no! Banisher, you high or something, man. There's no way that anyone's gonna say that with a straight face. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow we'll find out some more about um, Project Helix. But ultimately, I'm excited for it. It just needs to be priced right, and it needs to be marketed correctly, and it needs to offer something that others just don't. It needs to give you a reason to want to buy one. I mean, for someone like me, I want to buy one anyway, but for the person who's undecided, you need to offer them something that will say, hey, come to me because this is a unique thing that you can't get anywhere else. Now, obviously, the easiest thing for that is exclusive games, but there are other ways that you can handle that. So hopefully, they can figure something out. But apparently, a bunch of games are going to be available soon, or over the course of the year that are idea Xbox. This Mongil Star Drive looks really cool. That's coming to Xbox now. Echo Generation's another good one over here, replaced as we all know. Invincible Versus. So there's some pretty decent titles here from Xbox ID. That program is doing very, very well. You know what, Talos? That's it. Keep your pillars. Forza, Halo, Gears, and I guess you could add Fable. And even Starfield to that, right? Those five, just keep them to Xbox and PC. And then the rest, do what you want. Now, I did think this was funny, right? Because this is what PC gaming is all about. Fun and games. But apparently, so in Resident Evil 9, you've got lickers that can roam around. And someone decided to mod it. And so this is what you're left with.
Can't see.
You know very well the only exclusive Xbox will have is Redfall and Gunk. The king of pop would be proud. Yeah, this threw me off guard. Like the Dark Souls one, it made me laugh. Banisher, why should Fable be on PlayStation? It never was on PlayStation to begin with. I think Starfield is a foregone conclusion, but if Asher tomorrow came out and said, right, the PlayStation version of this has been cancelled, it's releasing on PC and Xbox only, I think that would do wonders for the Xbox brand image. So it just really, determines just how much they care about the brand image. Keeper's a good little game. I don't think it is too late. I mean, what have they really ported outside of Forza Horizon 6, which can be stopped at any point, really, because, if you're looking at what, if the rumors are true for PlayStation, Yote was almost complete and they pulled the plug. So it's never too late to actually pull the plug. Halo is just a remake, so whatevs, right? Gears was a remake of a 2016 game, so whatevs. A remake of the 2016 version of the game, I should say. So, what's actually gone over there? Now, Minecraft is one of those things that just needs to be everywhere. What annoys me more about Starfield is the fact that they've delayed the update so they can get release it with the PlayStation version. That I don't like. Blooper Team to officially reveal several of its in development projects this year, including the ambitious Project Hentai. Project H. I'm guessing it's Hentai. This year should be a very intense year for us in terms of communication, said Blooper Team. It's going to be intense. Project H, intense for them. So I think there's a whole kind of there's synergy there with what they're saying. Going to Switch 2, but not PlayStation, that will be a joy to watch. Oh, that would be hilarious. Stellar Blade was supposed to be multi-platform, but Sony moved in and decided, well, they needed money, right? And Sony said, we'll give you the money, but no Xbox release. The point. I get all of that, right, Raichi? But Microsoft could have done exactly the same thing if they wanted to, right? They could have done exactly the same. Instead of investing $70 billion in ABK, which, let's face it, outside of COD going day and day, what benefit have we actually seen from ABK's acquisition as consumers? Their catalog hasn't come to Game Pass. Virtually nothing, right? So all it's done is accelerated them going to other platforms. There's been no real benefit to the consumer outside of Call of Duty. And if you don't like Call of Duty, there's been absolutely none. In fact, it's gone against you because you've increased prices now. Instead of spending 70 billion there, what they could have done is gone around money hacking as many games as they wanted. It doesn't matter. As long as the money is right and the publisher's happy and they make it exclusive to the Xbox platform or Xbox and PC, whatever they want to do at the time, they could have turned the table around easy. Blizzard games like Overwatch will appear there on multiplayer anyway, so what difference does it make? See, Vince is a man of culture. Right, so can you imagine the amount of games that Microsoft could have money hatted with $70 billion? We're not talking about mere throwaway millions here. We're talking $70 billion. That's crazy. Yeah, Rachel, why not? All right, we have a message from Koshi Nakanishi, director of Resident Evil Requiem.
皆さんこんにちは。バイオハザードレクイエムディレクターの中西です。2月27日にね、発売させていただいたバイオハザードレクイエムですけども、非常に好評いただいてまして、すでに500万本を突破したとのことです。本当にたくさんの方にプレイしていただいて、開発チーム一同としても圧倒的感謝でございます。本当にありがとうございます。先日ね、いくつかの問題修正したアップデート配信させてもらったんですけども、引き続き問題修正や快適性向上のサポートを続けていこうと考えてます。でさらにね、コンテンツ追加っていうのも計画しておりまして、まず要望の多いフォトモード、それから5月頃にはなると思うんですけども、ちょっとしたミニゲームっていうのも準備しております。レクイエムはね、好評に応えるべく今後も継続したサポートを続けていきたいと考えております。そう、あとこれですね。
So you got Forbidden Kingdom there, Forbidden Requiem, something Biohazard, barbecue. So this is supposed to be some form of card-based minigame that they've been talking about just now. That's supposed to be coming to Requiem. And then this is the big one.
はい、追加ストーリーコンテンツ
Story expansion now in development. It's going to be interesting. We've got the DLC that they've been talking about. Apparently that's separate to what this is. The success of Requiem has been so good that they've decided that they're going to do more content for it. King is making them a lot of money. But it's not going to be enough to, even with King, their finances are still not looking great. Can you imagine if it was without ABK? How dire it would look without ABK? So this transaction where Microsoft merged with Activision Blizzard, regardless, it needed to happen. But yeah, Resident Evil Requiem story expansion now in development
こちらの
confirmed.
方制作決定しました。こちらの方はですね、レクイエムの世界をさらに掘り下げて楽しめる内容を目指して絶賛開発中です。配信まではちょっと少々時間を渡してしまうことになるかと思いますので、楽しみにお待ちいただければと思います。
That's it. That's all the information you have from this dude. Hello, what's wrong with a story expansion, Silver? We want to find out what happened next. It's going to be absolutely free at $14.99. It'll be free to go and look at the DLC. on the website before you buy it. So it's free to examine and look at the pictures. Yeah, that's what 2 years into that DLC. Replaced April 14, 2026. Are you ready? It's finally coming. And the final bit of story I had for today is Ballistic Moon, but we've already kind of covered this with Until Dawn. They are no more. They are finished. Obsolete. Game over. Hey, Outrider Fly, how's it going? The DLCs are prequel stories. This is a story expansion, whatever that means. But the DLC, one of them is, does stuff about the mum of Ashcroft, and I can't remember what the second DLC was about because there's two. But this story thing seems to be independent from the DLCs that are already planned. They independent? I believe so. Who? Ballistic Moon? Ballistic Moon are gone, man. Independent or not, they're gone. Another studio closed after making remastered game for PS5. Yeah, this was, I think, their only game as well, which is sad. Have they announced a price for Replaced? No, but I suspect it's going to be somewhere like $24.99 or $34.99. That's what I'm assuming anyway. What happened to that page? All right. But yeah, that's pretty much all the news I have for today. HELIX is definitely at least sounding positive. I'm excited for it. And I definitely want to pick one up. But then again, I want to buy every console. I should be getting some cool tech tomorrow. And if I do get the tech coming in, I'm going to have a video of it. And, I'm going to just do like a first impressions of it. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that video. Thursday is it's the actual future game show. So we're going to be covering that and probably talking about whatever the GDC aftermath is. I'll probably cover some of that tomorrow as well. But is there anything anyone else has that they want to bring up and talk about? Or is that are we done for today? Anyone know why Sony is closing studios? Is Bungie next? So actually, Bungie is a good topic to quickly just chime in on because they are in a really, really bad place at the moment. Destiny is completely and utterly messed up. Their DLC just got delayed by 4 months. So it's going to basically be, 6 months before they get new content. The player base has... I think the player base at one point dropped down to... I think it was like 7,000 concurrent on Steam, which is crazy low for that game. It's not getting the updates and the care it needs. Bungie is clearly fully banking on Marathon to succeed, and at the moment it's doing well. Now, what will this mean for Bungie in the grand scheme of things if Marathon does well, and what does it mean for Destiny? Well, for Destiny, I think it's going to signal the end. The only real thing right now that can save Destiny is Destiny 3. There's too much baggage there for someone to jump into Destiny 2 right now. I think the average cost for someone right now, outside of the sale period, jumping into Destiny is like £500-600. That's just way too much money. Like, Destiny 2 has run its course, and they really need a Destiny 3. But the problem with that is that Destiny 3 is years away. If they started it today, because they haven't started it, but if they started today, that's like 5 years away. You know, you're talking PlayStation 6 era. And God knows if they're going to even allow it on other platforms at that point. So they're in a really horrible position. They could go down the route of doing a Destiny Classic, right? Bring in Destiny 1, which was never available on PC. Just kind of lift and shift, make it 60 FPS, you know, up-res the graphics a little bit and, you know, do a bit of touch-up work and just release it as a classic Destiny 1 experience with the full package. And get people playing that for a while until Destiny 3 comes along. The reality is, people used to play Destiny 2, and after the content was done, they jumped into PvP. There was 9 teams in trials today for the best part of the majority of the day. 9 teams. Let that sink in. Only 9 teams in trials. That's, you know, the PvP scene is completely and utterly disappeared. So Bungie is in a really bad place right now, and they really need Marathon to succeed. Mate, the AI in Marathon is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I die more to AI than I do to people playing the game. That said, you can't really tell who's who, so you just shoot everyone. But they are relentless. They are like Skynet. Did Concord really hurt them that bad? I don't think it's so much Concord. So what Concord did set off a chain reaction, right? So they shut down Concord, which I still believe was the wrong choice to do. It was the wrong thing to do. They could have just left it free to play and worked on it in the background and then did another soft launch and just let people play it that way, right? They could have done that, fixed the game, made the changes they wanted to, and not just thrown all that money away. So that was sad to see. But what Concord delivered after that was 13 live service cancellations. And so now you've got all these studios that are working on these live service games that have probably some have spent 2-3 years working on them, but now they've got nothing to show for it, and they've got a gaping hole in their finances because this project has just been thrown out the window, and they kind of need to cover that cost that they've spent, and there's no way to really cover it. And so that's why now those studios are getting shut down, because they're in debt and they've got a black hole that they can't fix. And so it's a self-inflicted problem that the studios are paying for, but, you know, Concord was the instigation of it, sure, but the decision to just knee-jerk reaction to cancel all those games at once was just dumb. Because now these studios just don't have anything else to work on, right? And Bluepoint was one of them with their God of War, right? That God of War gas game that they were working on, I think they were working on for about 3 years. And they still needed like another 2 or 3 years to, you know, get what they wanted, and it just they were never given the time. That's why I always marvel at Ghost of Tsushima, right? 60 million budget. It's crazy. It was Diablo. This one has a story, but it's weird. But like I said, I don't like Escape from Tarkov. I don't like Arc Raiders. All of these extraction shooters out there are really kind of elitist, sweaty, like the best of the top level of the game. I find Marathon to be designed for casual gamers as an extraction shooter. It's not designed, I feel, for the sweat, which is why I enjoy the game. It feels more light. It feels more friendly and inviting. There isn't a campaign, no. There is like some kind of underlying narrative that happens because you're kind of taken to this planet at the start and you kind of got to work your way up. So there is something going on there, and you've got this other thing that basically starts to not really like what you're doing while you're doing contracts and stuff. Contracts are where the story really progresses, and that's got its own like timeline and stuff. So yeah, Bungie's an interesting case. I wonder how much Unreal 5 games Xbox makes costs if they spend over 50 million, and looks like Avowed they need to ask Epic Games a refund. I don't know how much it costs, but in the grand scheme of things, it does mean that their games come out faster because of the silly contractual obligation policy that Microsoft has with freelancers. Yeah, 1015 isn't bad. Did you see the DocAV game portal Abyss is supposed? I didn't. I mean, I've seen people talking about DocAV, but I never really paid attention to it. Let's see if there's anything else to talk about. Hey, folks, if you're new to the channel, do consider subscribing. It really does help. It seems I pissed off 2 people today, so they unsubscribed, but that's okay. The 2 of you that are new to the channel can definitely fix that. New driver is out for NVIDIA, so wait for the 10 hot fixes. I was about to say the same thing. Probably Raichi. That would be my assumption. Alright, folks, I'm actually getting really tired. I have started on my new meds, so they're probably making me a bit drowsy. Tomorrow, what am I doing tomorrow? We've got the GDC. I don't think it's going to be live. Hopefully we can get some info. I'm going to work on that video if the hardware comes in, so please do look out for that. Otherwise, I've been planning on streaming for the past week with some Steam Fest games. I asked around in Discord and people picked that I should do some Steam Fest demo streaming. So I've got a bunch of games here that I've downloaded that we can check out. So if I'm not too tired tomorrow and feeling up to it, we'll jump into a stream and check out these demos and see what people think. Some of these are coming to Xbox. A lot of these actually are coming to Xbox. So it'll be fun to see something different, I think. Hey, Enemy Within. I'm good, buddy. I am good. I am good. How are you, dude? The best place to play GTA 6 is going to be Xbox Helix. Retro Gamer, that is potentially true, yes. Especially if the hardware benefits from the extra horsepower. I really hope it does. But folks, if you've enjoyed the stream, do consider leaving a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And I will see you next time. I think that's all the news we have for today. And hopefully you guys will join me either tomorrow and or Thursday, especially as we check out the Future Game Show. It's another showcase showcasing all sorts of amazing and wonderful games. But folks, that's it from me tonight. Peace out. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate you. Thank you for the gifted subs and everything else. It means a lot. I will see you next time. Peace and remain legend. I'm really tired, Leaf. I need to go. And plus, there's no more news. I'll be rambling at this point. I'm out.